So I had a thought yesterday that I should talk about some of my favorite movies of all time. Not only would that give you guys a chance to get to know me a little bit better, but it would also give me a good excuse to talk about some of my favorite movies of all time.
I'm calling it now, I'm calling it now, I'm calling it now. You'll find love with me somehow, yes somehow, I'm calling it now.
Now, with this list, like with all my top 10 lists, number 1 is no better than number 10 through 2. It's just the order of how I put this in. So, let's get into it. Number 10, Aliens, 1986. The Alien trilogy is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and while 1979's Alien is a classic, the 1986 sequel film edges out more because everything is more. More action, more characters, more Ripley, and more aliens. It's a complex but completely comprehensible film with so many characters that stand out in their own way regardless of how much screen time they have. And honestly, this movie is timeless. The graphics and special effects still holds up to this day. It's a perfect example of a great movie that's made up of action, thrills, horror, and sci-fi. And it's always cool to see a movie with a really strong female lead.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Number 9, Casino.
I don't give a shit who he's connected to. Tell him to take his fucking feet off the table. What's he think this is, a goddamn sawdust joint?
Sir, would you mind taking your feet off the table and put your shoes on, please?
Yeah, I would mind. I'm having a bad night.
Fucking asshole, fudge.
Full security. Exit this guy off the premises, and I want you to exit him off his feet and use his head to open the fucking door.
Sir, you're gonna have to leave. You mind accompanying us outside?
Bullshit, I ain't going anywhere with you.
Bullshit, you're out of here.
Fuck you! Fuck you! You know who you're fucking with? Huh? Do you? You fucking faggot! Do you know who you're fucking with? Leave me alone! You're not kidding me!
That was actually a clip I saw on TikTok. And after I saw it, I was like, oh, I gotta watch this movie. And I'm so glad I did. Because this is one of the best, harsh, yet delicate mafia movies I've ever seen. Good acting, amazing story inspired by true events. There's not a moment in this film that is skippable. Every scene serves a purpose, and Robert De Niro just nails it. He doesn't carry this film by any means, but he is my favorite character in the movie. I just like his whole gangster mentality.
Catch as I am over you. Look at yours. What? Look at that. Look at this. There's nothing. Look how many blueberries your muffin has and how many mine has. Yours is falling apart. I have nothing. What are you talking about? It's like everything else in this place. You don't do it yourself, it never gets done.
Where are you going?
How long can this go
From
on?
now on, I want you to put an equal amount of blueberries in each muffin. An equal amount of blueberries in each muffin.
You know how long that's going to take?
I don't care how long it takes. Put an equal amount in each muffin.
All the characters were really good though. Everyone held their own. And it's so interesting how Joe Pesci can be so goofy and likable in the Home Alone franchise and yet so vile and horrible in Casino. That's a good actor right there. Talk about range.
Hey, come here.
You called my friend a faggot? You told him to go fuck himself? Is that what you did? Told him to go fuck himself? You fucking dick! You fucking dick! You! Come here. Come here. Get him on the plane. Come here. Cool up. Come here. You go over there right now. You apologize. You better hope he lets you back in. If you ever get out of line over there again, I'll smash your fucking head so hard you won't be able to get that cowboy hat on. You hear me? You fucking dick.
Number 8, Halloween, the night he came home. This movie is a classic in every sense of the word. I've talked about it before on the channel, but this is really one of my favorite movies of all time. Another timeless film created by one of the masters of horror, John Carpenter. What makes this film so scary is how much it messes with you. Watching Halloween, you'd think you just watched a bloodbath. There's no blood in this movie at all. This is a slasher film, first of its kind, with no blood. The studio couldn't afford it. They only had, this is a cheaply made movie, and they couldn't even afford any blood in a horror movie. And that's one of the things that I like about it so much. Horror movies of today, and especially after 1978, a big part of a horror movie, a movie that involves a monster or a killer or something, a big part of that relies on blood and guts and stuff like that. But this movie didn't rely on that. And still yet, it goes down as one of the scariest movies of all time. On top of that, the shape, the stalker. It's not only the kills that's scary, it's the suspense. The scenes like Annie stuck in the laundry room with the shape standing right behind her, or Laurie desperately trying to get in the house as Michael comes closer and closer. Even this goofy scene still was creepy. This film is a very simple masterpiece. Everyone you know, Jason, Pinhead, Chucky, Freddy Krueger, the Scream guy with the ghost face dude, they all came from Michael Myers. And as far as this movie goes, a lot of people say this when talking about the movie, but I think the best scene is the scene where Dr. Loomis and the local sheriff are in the Myers house, and Dr. Loomis is describing the boy that he met as when he was 6 years old, when Michael was 6 years old. I think that scene is probably the best in this whole movie, because it's a scene that it's just Dr. Loomis telling a story. You don't even see any flashbacks. It's just the doctor telling the story. But the way he tells it, how his voice sounds, the music behind it, it's so powerful, dark, creepy, and it's just empty.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Number 7, Avengers Endgame. This movie was the end of an era, an 11-year era that started in 2008 with Iron Man. This film was a cinematic masterpiece with some of the best storytelling I've seen in a blockbuster filmmaking, with smart writing and intimate character moments.
I used to have nothing. And then I got this. This job. This family. And I was better because of it. And even though they're gone, I'm still trying to be better.
There really isn't enough good things I can say about this movie. This film is a love letter to fans from Marvel Studios with so many callbacks, so many characters returning for the finale, and such great human and enduring performances. Growing up with this franchise from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, 11 years, 22 movies from Iron Man to Infinity War and now Endgame has been amazing. What Marvel Studios has done with 22 different movies, just telling one huge story across movies and across years, has just been really, really amazing. All these separate franchises coming together, and this really the series finale of the Infinity has been amazing. And I wish DC movies would take notes off of that, because it really is something that it's just a good formula. It's a good formula, and it's a smart formula. And that amazing feeling that you have when watching these different 22 movies all come together, and probably the most historical moment in superhero movies, with the finale, the showdown between every character we've seen, every hero we've seen across the MCU, everybody, versus Thanos and his army. Final showdown.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Number 6, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, the ultimate grudge match crossover movie. Now, AVP 1 is really, really good. However, Requiem edges out more because it has something that the first movie didn't have. The Xenomorph Predator hybrid. As we all know, xenomorphs take on characteristics of their hosts, and a normal one is dangerous enough as it is. But this one? And what was even cooler about this movie versus the previous one was there was only one predator fighting these things. Xenomorphs multiply fast and they grow fast. So it's like a freaking army of aliens out there, and one predator taking all of them on by itself with no backup. And this movie really showcased Predator in a way none of the other films have ever done before, even in the solo Predator franchise. In this movie, Requiem, Predator uses everything in his arsenal, really giving the xenomorphs one hell of a fight. We see his strength, his will to kill these SOBs. It's all interesting. Even the humans, who are usually boring in these kinds of movies, were interesting. And for the most part, pretty resourceful. I love this film. It's the best. A perfect film for a lazy Saturday. Number 5, Heat. 1995's Heat is, without a doubt, in my opinion, one of the best crime thrillers ever made. It's Robert De Niro versus Al Pacino, a headstrong cop doing whatever it takes to bring down one very tough, very smart criminal. And it's not even just a cops and robbers story, because it also focuses on the lives of these two men and how their lives impact the people they care about and their personal struggles. Everyone, and I mean every character in this movie, is complex and interesting, adding different dimensions to this action-packed heist movie. And the best part of it is Neil and Vincent. These two characters are two sides of the same coin, and had their lives been impacted just slightly differently, their roles could have been switched, or they could have been best friends. You want a good movie, a good crime thriller, a good heist movie, or just a good movie in general? This is it. Heat.
You know, we're sitting here, you and I, like a couple of regular fellows. I mean, you do what you do, I do what I gotta do. And now that we've been face to face, if I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, if it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
There's a flip side to that coin. What if you do got me boxed in? Then I gotta put you down. Because no matter what, you will not get in my way. We've been face to face, yeah. But I will not hesitate. Not for a second.
That scene, those two sitting at the diner, good versus evil, face to face, just talking, having coffee, that's cinematic masterpiece right there. That's perfect. I don't know whose idea it was, but that scene right there, easily the best part of the whole movie. Number 4, The Dark Knight. Another great story with two characters who are two sides of the same coin.
To them, you're just a freak. Like me. They need you right now. But when they don't, they'll cast you out. Like a leper. You see, their morals, their code, it's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble.
This movie came out over 10 years ago, and it's still considered the gold standard of superhero movies to this day. There aren't many superhero movies that have beaten The Dark Knight in terms of money making in the box office. The Dark Knight stands on top. I have no complaints over this film. Every aspect is fantastic. The acting, the action, crime drama, everything. This movie is everything you could want in a crime thriller and everything you could want in a Batman movie. And still to this day, Heath Ledger remains my favorite live-action Joker. I rarely give movies 10 out of 10s, but Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight is the perfect film. It's dark, it's never slow or boring, and you can see the inspiration from this story came from stories like The Long Halloween and The Killing Joke. This movie was so good. I don't really know, there's not enough good things I can say about it. Batman Begins was good, and The Dark Knight Rises was pretty good too, but The Dark Knight is the best. And it's cool to see, what I like about Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy in general, especially with The Dark Knight, is that this is a very dark superhero movie with realistic and very, very sad consequences for Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Gotham needs its true hero. No. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I can do those things, because I'm not a hero. Not like that. I killed those people. That's what I can be. No, you can't. You're not. I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be. Call it in.
Number 3, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I know I've talked about this movie over and over and over on the channel, but this is really one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's crazy when I think about that, because when this movie first came out, I didn't know anything about any of these characters. I knew a little bit about the Mandarin, but that was it. I really went into this movie blind, and I really went to see it because the trailer looked cool, but I was bored on that Friday night too. And when I left, I was like, oh yeah, one of the best movies I've ever seen. And the reason I think it works is because it focuses on the family aspect more than the superhero aspect. This doesn't even feel like a Marvel movie, and that's pretty cool. This is beautiful, timeless, bold Asian cinema in America with great characters and a heartfelt story that tackles a son that thinks one way about his father and by the end learns to embrace and think about him in another way, accepting that he is the lightness and goodness of his mom and the hardness and darkness of his father. I can't wait to see Shang-Chi and his sister in future MCU films. Every character shine in this movie. This movie is a 10 out of 10. No skippable moments. When Wu was my favorite, this movie gave us Tony Leung. He played a villain who was very sympathetic and very evil at the same time. A character one can love, feel sorry for, and hate all at the same time. And it just gave us a great movie. That's what it is. It's a great movie. Lots of kung fu action, lots of cool moments, and lots of family building.
She was gone, and we needed you. But you chose those damn rings over us! You trained your son to be a killer. Is this what you wanted?
Number 2, Rocky IV. The Rocky series is one of my favorite franchises of all time, but there's something so special about number 4. Every movie is good, but number 4, it was different. It was exciting and very bold. This movie also had the best soundtrack in the franchise, and the final fight, Rocky versus Drago, was one of the most exciting fights, probably the most exciting fight in the entirety of the series, including Creed. Watching this, you feel like you're watching a real boxing match.
He's cut! He's cut! Russian's cut, and it's a bad cut! And now it's Rocky Balboa coming after Ivan Drago! Rocky may be on the receiving end so far, but he's here to fight. This is shaping up to be a personal war, and right now, it's anybody's boxing match.
You're doing good, Rocky. I think you do better myself.
Beer the glass. That's what's all.
Got him hurt bad.
Yeah.
Now he's worried. You're cutting. You're hurting. You see? You see? He's not a machine. He's a man.
I love it. I love Rocky's growth in this movie. I love the story. And I love how it sets up future Creed movies without even trying to. This is a beautiful movie I'll never get tired of. This franchise is probably one of my most favorite franchises of all time. Rocky is an icon. He started out into the 70s and Creed carried him into the 21st century. And one thing every movie from Rocky 1 to Creed 2 has in common is great storytelling with wonderful characters in this pretty, actually realistic world. Every story is good. There's like 8 films in this franchise. Everyone is good and everyone brings something different to the table. But out of all the movies, I think number 4 is probably the best. It just stands out to me more. And number 1, Princess Mononoke. This is a film I feel like everyone should see. at least once, especially growing up. It's not as good as Spirited Away, but I mean, few movies are in general. In this movie, every character has their own story that makes this movie so unique. The main character, Prince Ashitaka, represents the audience in terms of what they would do in a situation. He's relatable, he's likable. After he gets banished from his village from being cursed by a demon he was trying to fight, he goes out and really discovers the world. This movie has such a heartfelt story, and most people who watch this probably think this is just a story about nature against humanity, but I think it goes deeper than that. It's more about the inevitability, about the destruction of nature, mainly because of human conflict. Humanity is at constant conflict. This story isn't as simple as good versus bad. It's interest versus interest. It's the kind of movie I wish I grew up watching. Great characters, good but not overdone romance, intense action, and that sweet, cute comedy Ghibli movies are known for. Princess Mononoke sets itself apart from other animes because it forces you to look inside yourself, and it forces you to forget about hate and violence and focus more on peace and tranquility. That one is a really great one. Well guys, that's it. My top 10 favorite movies of all time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll probably do another one of these videos because there's a lot of favorite movies of all time. There's a lot of movies that I wanted to talk about, but I just couldn't slip them in, like Pirates of the Caribbean, Terminator. There's a lot of movies that I like. I really enjoy cinema, so I'll be looking forward to doing another one of these videos sometime soon, or maybe just another top 10 list in general, because I really enjoy doing top 10 lists. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.